Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we are going to be learning about EFT for weight loss. This is a program that I've been doing for about 2.5, 3 weeks, and I am loving it. And I've had great results. So we are going to be talking to Donaldson, who is an EFT practitioner, who also a nutritionist, and also someone who is a personal trainer. So really perfect combination of all the things that you need for weight loss. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much, CJ. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I'm happy that you've done the program and you're having great results. And anytime I get a chance to share this message, it's a good day.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful piece of work. I mean, usually weight loss is kind of this grueling kind of experience, but there's so much beauty and grace in the way that this is done. I'm really enjoying it on multiple levels.
Thank you. That calling it beauty, having beauty and grace, I think sums it up very nicely because it's
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to be like hardcore and
Mm-hmm.
deprivation and all the starvation stuff that we're used to doing. It really
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to be kind and gentle and
Mm-hmm.
peaceful. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that you got that from it.
Yeah. Well, what I love about it is that it completely shifts the way that I think about weight. When I think about weight and eating, it's something that it's like this gigantic mountain or that I'm trying to overcome versus when I think about weight as being a signal for something that is off balance emotionally or physically or mentally on the inside, I think, oh, now I'm actually losing weight is great, but it's really I'm healing all these little disparate pieces of me that weren't really whole before. So it's kind of a threefer, right? It's like a spiritual
Yes.
thing, it's a
Yes.
weight thing, it's just so much more than just counting your calories and putting it into a little handheld device and like, oh, I can't eat this and looking at stuff and getting stressed out. It's so different than all the other diets I've
Yes.
ever done.
And I hate that because I'm a registered dietitian, and
Mm-hmm.
so for years that's all I had. How many calories are you having? How many
Yes.
carbs are you having? And a personal trainer too. How much are you exercising? Are you getting this in? And then it's like, that is not working, and it was
Yeah.
so frustrating. And so to have like a better tool to cover the
Mm-hmm.
spiritual mind body part is was really the missing link, and I'm
Yes.
so glad that I finally have that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'd be like still frustrated, and so would all my clients.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really enjoyed in the very beginning, and it's a 6 week program, and in the first
Yes,
week, Dawson has this great video of top dog, underdog,
yes,
and it perfectly summarized what I have felt with every diet. I have the top dog, which is like the demanding parent voice. It's like you need to eat whatever calories you have to eat so many grams of protein, and I'm like measuring everything on the plate, and it's just this kind of and if I don't do it I feel bad. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I ate chocolate today, I feel so bad. So there's
or
this.
that you are bad, like you're bad if you
Yes.
do that.
Yes. Yeah. So all those diets have this kind of demanding presence that force you to eat a certain way. And then the underdog's like, oh yes, I will. Okay, I'll eat that way. And then what happens is when the overdog is doing or whatever, the top dog is looking at something, the underdog's like, screw you, I'm eating the chocolate.
You do that very well. We'll have to show Dawson that.
Yeah.
That was a good top dog underdog picture there for us.
This dynamic is very
Yeah,
strong
you're
in
kind
my
of
life.
familiar with that. Yeah.
But that's so much. That's what a lot of diets are predicated on,
Yes.
isn't it? It's
Yes.
this top dog
Yes.
underdog thing, and as Dawson says, the underdog always wins.
I know. Well, and then what happens is not only you get caught up in that, but then if you don't lose weight doing what you're supposed to do and what all the rules have told you to do, you end up feeling more like a failure and a
Yes.
loser. And all of those emotions really just contribute to like what I call chaos brain. It's my clinical
Yes.
diagnosis. How
Yeah.
many of us are suffering from chaos brain? And
Right.
so when you have that going on and you throw in some guilt and some shame and some failure, it really just makes you want to eat more instead
Yes.
of doing better. It is not motivating at all.
Yeah, one of the key things that I think I can't remember if it was in week 2 or 3, you talk about cortisol levels and how
Yes.
that kind of chaos creates stress that then makes it
Yes.
even harder for you to lose weight. Tell us about how that works.
That is one of my favorite subjects. What happened? It really is because it
Yeah.
explains so much, like all of the cravings for carbohydrates and why it's harder to lose weight when we're under stress.
Yeah.
So basically, what happens is that when we eat carbohydrates, they break down into sugars in the
Mm-hmm.
body, and so they raise your blood sugar levels and they also raise your insulin levels,
Right.
which then indirectly raises the serotonin levels in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
which helps to calm you down. And so the
Mm.
reason that's so important is because so very often we have all of this chaos going on in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
We can be overwhelmed, we can be tired, we can have emotions, anger, sadness, frustration, whatever it is, and we really don't know how to identify that in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
But all we know is that if we go and get some carbohydrates, we are going to feel better.
Right.
But the problem is for so many people, back to the cortisol levels and the stress, that kind of chaos brain is going on like 24/7. You
Right.
know, it's only supposed to happen once in a while. Like you see a bear in the woods and
Yes.
the fight or flight, but
Right.
how often is that supposed to really
Right.
happen?
Right.
Not every day.
Right.
But a lot of people are living that every day between their jobs and money, taking care of family, children, parents, themselves, their health, their weight. It's like they're 24/7 on high alert,
Right.
feeling anxiety, feeling chaos in the brain. And so when that happens, your body is actually producing more adrenaline
Mm-hmm.
and more cortisol because it thinks you have to fight off the bear.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no bear. There's nothing to like physically run away from.
Mm-hmm.
And so all that extra adrenaline tells more sugar to go out into your blood, and that sugar has no place to go. So the cortisol helps it get stored as fat right in your belly.
Right. Yay.
I know. And then you're like, wow, this is great. And then you want to eat more because you feel even worse about everything.
Right.
So it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah,
for
so it's
many
so
people.
critical, and I think what a lot of diet programs don't address is that stress piece. And so
Yes.
I think what I like about yours is that you're dealing not only with the nutrition in your 6-week program, but you're dealing with the stress levels really strongly, I think.
Yes, and it's not just about food. So people say, well, I need to do the EFT or the tapping on this food or whatever. But it really works on stress no matter what is going on. So, like, if you were having a bad day at work, or like my computer crashed last night as I was
Yeah.
preparing for something big,
Yeah.
that's a little bit stressful.
Yeah.
So, here I am tapping, 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 just to reduce my stress in that moment,
Right.
so that then I don't just go, screw it, I'm going to go make some popcorn.
Right.
It's really about the stress that's going on. Some days you might be tapping like 30 times a day. Okay, even though my kids are driving me crazy. Oh, even though my partner is making me insane. Even though my computer crashed. Even though this traffic is horrible. It can be anything. It really works on everything.
Right, because
So-
those are the precursor events before you grab the
Yes.
chocolate or the
Yes.
bread or whatever. So if you tap on those things, you balance so that you're not craving, oh, I really need that serotonin to calm myself down.
Yes, yes. Serotonin in the form of carbohydrates.
Yes, exactly.
So, as a recovered popcorn and chocolate-aholic, I can very much
Yes.
tell you that this works.
Okay.
So I remember a family member one time even saying, oh, so it's my fault that you're going to gain weight. And I thought, well, yes, it is. You're pissing me off. And so I started doing some tapping. Even though this person is really making me mad, I am not going to let them cause me to gain weight.
Right.
And so then I tapped to bring myself down.
Yes.
So that I wouldn't have to go make popcorn.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. Okay. Now Dawson says, I think probably 10 times in one session, in one phone
Must
call.
be really important.
It is. He said they've done research, and that basically people over the 6-week program lose an average of 2 pounds per week.
Yes.
And then unlike other programs where you lose it and then all of a sudden like creep, you're back to the weight that you are actually even higher weight
Right.
than you were before.
Often higher.
People lose 3 pounds in the next 6 months, which is phenomenal. And then they keep that weight off. One of the metrics for keeping a basis of your weight is to keep it off for a year or 2 years so that you can solidify that kind of homeostasis in your body or whatever. So how does that work? I mean, what do you have to do in order to get those kind of results?
You know, it's really not that hard. You do have to do some tapping. And
Yeah.
that's what it really comes down to. So the most successful people will spend a few minutes each day doing some tapping. So they
Mm-hmm.
might start their day with some tapping, um, and then they might tap before a meal or during a meal. But they also, like in the class that we offer, they might do some tapping on some of the deeper, more serious issues. So if there was some anger, if there was any abuse, if there are childhood issues.
Right.
So getting to the root of those deeper issues is important as well, and the class covers those as well as the daily tapping.
Yeah.
But the key is that you now have a tool, like literally right at your fingertips. It goes with you everywhere, and you are teaching your brain how to be more calm
Mm-hmm.
in any situation.
Mm.
So your brain actually starts to build new neural pathways
Hmm.
that become permanent.
Hmm.
So now whenever I start to tap, it's almost like my brain goes, oh, yeah, all right, I got this. You want me to be calm? Okay, good. We're going to be calm. Instead of always being in that fight or flight mode.
Yes.
So we're really
Interesting.
teaching the brain a new way to respond, like
Right.
on a regular basis. And that lasts. You're building new neural pathways. It's like this is what you do now instead of being all stressed out and reaching for the food.
Right. So, and your program is so comprehensive because is this like the third or fourth year that you've been doing it?
About the sixth time of this particular
Six times.
course.
So
Yeah.
what's so lovely is in the 6 weeks you actually have not only the call that you do live with you,
Yeah.
that's the format, but then
Yes.
also you can listen to like, the 3 or 4 other tapes in addition to
Right.
that. And what I found so beneficial, because in the first week I listened to every single tape.
I know you did.
I did. And what I found so fascinating, and it's worthwhile to do, because when you listen to it, every person brings in their own special problems that you can
Yes.
completely relate to. So even though you feel like
Yes.
I'm going to be doing this 4 times, the same thing over and over again, you don't.
No. And that's so many people comment and say, oh my gosh, I had no idea that was my issue. Like I
Yes.
didn't know until Susie started tapping on that. That was buried so deep I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And even for me, as I'm tapping with people, I'm like, okay, I think that might be a little bit of an
Yeah.
issue for me as well. Okay, I
Yeah.
think
Let
I
me
need to
help you
know.
and me at the same
Yes,
time.
exactly. So Dawson and I are the luckiest people on the planet because we
Yeah.
get to tap right along with people. And so we get to tap on our stuff at the same time too.
Yes,
It's
absolutely. So,
great.
so people who attend the program
Yes.
weekly, tap every morning before meals, and then as the day goes on, when they're conscious of that they're stressed, those are the people that get those kind of results. The
Yes.
Okay.
My most successful person, the story of her is so cute. I call her Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And she, first she came in for diabetes and we
Mm-hmm.
did some of the nutrition and all of
Right.
that. But then, of course, there are emotional reasons. And so
Yeah.
I approached this with her. I said, would you like to work on some of the emotions behind
Yeah.
the weight? And she's actually married to a traditional medical provider. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Okay, but don't tell your husband.
Right.
So,
Do this in secret.
yeah, just secret tapping. And so she said, well, sure, I think there might be a couple of things
Yeah.
going on.
One or two
Well,
things.
one or two. I mean, she has 5 children, six
Right.
children. So at least there are 6 reasons right
Exactly.
there. So we started working on it, and I said, now, would you tap every morning for about 5 or 10 minutes? And she said, sure. And then I said, as you're having a craving, do some tapping
Mm-hmm.
on the cravings as well. And then we'll work on the bigger stuff together. So for the first 3 months that I worked with her, every time she came to the office, which was about every 2 weeks, she lost like 5 to 7 pounds.
Whoa.
I know. And so finally I said, like, what are you doing? Probably
Right.
almost like shocked her, like, ah.
Right.
And she said, well, I'm tapping because,
She
that's
told
what you
me
said
to.
to do. I know. I said, well, how often are you doing this? And she said, well, you said to do it for just a few minutes every day, so that's what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, great.
Wow.
And now she's lost 140 pounds.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Steps, yes.
Wow.
She comes in, she just pays attention to it regularly. When she gets on the scale, it almost always goes down. There were 2 times where the scale didn't go down, and one time was when her mom passed away.
Yeah.
And so she had a lot of extra stress, and I think she went up by a pound or maybe 2 pounds and then got right back to the tapping. But instead of getting on the scale and saying, oh my gosh, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, this isn't going to work, she asked herself what I ask everybody to ask
Mm-hmm.
themselves is, what needs some attention in my life.
Mm.
So if you get on the scale and maybe you're up a few pounds, instead of going, oh my gosh, you're a big fat loser and a failure. No, no. Just say, I wonder what needs some attention in my life right now.
Interesting. Okay, because okay, here's what I did with your program, because I went through it in a very different way. I was listening
You
to your
did. You were like
tapes.
speed.
I was listening to your tapes and immersing, and fortunately or unfortunately, I had a back injury, so it was the perfect thing to do. I was like laid up in bed tapping, and because I figured, well, I can't do much anyways, because I'm just
Right.
in bed the whole time because I had a back injury, and so I was just tapping almost for like 5 days straight, and
I know you emailed me. I'm like, okay, just be careful if some big issues show up. Call me.
I know. So I was doing this for probably 2 weeks, and I lost 5 pounds. I was really, really shocked, but I was like tapping a ton.
Right.
And then I went through my menstrual cycle, and I gained like two. So I was at 139. I went down to 134, which I've been trying to get down to 134 for probably 6 to 8 months, counting my calories, doing all that thing. So I was kind of shocked when I went down from 139 down to
Right.
134 in a period of 2 weeks. I was shocked. And then I went through my menstrual cycle, and then I started going up, and now I'm kind of, because I think you're retaining water and, all those kind of things. And so in the program, Dawson says one of the 3 successful habits of people who lose weight, or they weigh themselves every day. So I was weighing myself during this time period and going exactly through what that woman went through, where it's like,
Yes.
why am I gaining weight? Well, it's because it's just the water weight. It's okay. It's okay. It's just the water weight. I'm tapping on myself. But there are going to be times where I'm not sure. I mean, are there going to be times where you may be gaining weight, like the woman that you talked about, where she was going through loss and going through a
Yes.
lot of emotional trauma. And as you said, you kind of beat yourself up, like, why? It's not working. It's not. All of a sudden, it's not working. I'm going to give up. Oh, it's not working anymore. So, and I thought what you could do is step us through, first of all, a demonstration of tapping for those who aren't me.
Yes.
They see us doing this and we're like, why do they keep on doing that?
Why are they touching their face?
Yeah. So maybe a demonstration of tapping, what it
Yes.
is, and a quick summary. And I actually did an interview with Dawson on EFT, and he did a EFT craving for Thanksgiving things, like and Halloween candies, and
Right.
on the website you have a bunch of them for cravings for chocolate and things like that.
Yes.
So I highly encourage people to look at that. And there are various acupressure points on your face that when you tap these various points, as I understand it, it calms down your system. So even though maybe you have discursive, unhelpful thoughts that are running through your head, your body, you're sending these calming signals to your body, and your body can relax. No bear in sight, no
Yes.
fight or flight needed. Just calm down. Is that, or how would you describe it?
That is exactly right.
Okay.
The points that you're tapping on are actually acupuncture sites, acupressure sites, and we'll go through all of them. When you tap on them physically, that sends a calming signal to a part of your brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala is like the emotion center of your brain. And what it does is it tells the rest of your body it's time to chill. We don't need to be in fight or flight mode. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're stressing about, whatever you're remembering, whatever you're craving, let's just bring down the emotional intensity of whatever is going on. So it's actually a physiological response to the tapping. So there's some excellent physiology. Dawson published an excellent paper on how tapping lowered cortisol levels. They did saliva cortisol levels. They tested
Interesting.
this. And they were shocked at the results how much tapping brought down the cortisol levels.
Right, which is the main thing that we've been talking about, right?
Yes, versus just talking about it or just resting.
Right.
So sometimes people think, well, if I just talk about my problems or if I just vent, then that makes it all better. But actually, it really doesn't. It's
Right, there's
sort
a
of
physiological component.
yeah, it didn't really do anything to change any of your brain chemistry. And so it might have felt good in that moment to cry or get it all out, but it would have been so much better if there could have been some tapping that went along with that so that it calmed down the fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
So your body's going, wait, seriously, oh, we don't have to be stressed out. Okay, we're not going to die. Okay, this is fine. You're really, are you sure I'm okay? Yes, I'm sure you're okay. So your brain is receiving like calming messages
Right.
while you're processing something that's kind of traumatic.
Okay, so
And it's fabulous.
in the EFT weight training program, then there are a lot. So the whole premise of the program is that you have a bunch of emotional stuff that is driving your eating. So when you can tap on these points, show us the points again so that people know, oh, am I hitting the right points? So there's one on the top of your, show us again.
So the first one actually starts on the side of the hand.
The karate chop
This is
point.
where we start on the karate chop point. Okay. And we're going to say a statement 3 times while we're tapping here.
Okay.
And part of that statement is you're going to say that you love and accept yourself.
Okay.
So basically you're saying, even though I have this really big problem,
Right.
or I'm messed up, or I have this craving, whatever it is.
Okay, let's
I love and accept myself anyway.
Let's do the demo where
Yeah.
we're addressing. So anyone out there should actually be doing this with us when they're watching. So let's say that you've tried a diet or you've tried something and it's not working, and you find you're gaining weight, like I did, right? So we can use
Right.
me as a sample subject. And then we're going to be tapping along. And when people are tapping along, there's this thing called Bauer benefits, where they're actually getting the same benefit from tapping, even though it's me tapping, right?
Yes. Yeah. So like I'll get benefits because I'm tapping along with you. You'll get benefits. Other people that are even just watching this interview will get some benefits as well.
And they should be following and tapping at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And when they're tapping, let's say I don't have that exact issue, right? I have another issue that's sort of related to that. Will that be cleared as I'm tapping, or is it anything that relates to the thing that CJ's talking about will be cleared?
What you're talking about will be clear, but also if you set the intention, so you basically say, I'm working on this for CJ, but I also want to make sure that I clear my issue going on, it will help with that as well.
Do you have to identify? Do you have to identify your issue?
You should to some extent, and you probably will have to go do a little bit more specific tapping on that at some other point,
Okay.
but it will still help.
Okay, so let's say
Yes.
that your issue, so I'm going to be tapping on, oh my God, I'm gaining weight. What should I do? What should I do? Okay, so if you don't relate to that, it could be no diets ever work for me. Like you could be thinking of that intentionally
Yes.
and tapping, and that's where the Bauer benefits does both. I'm gaining weight work, and also, oh gosh, I'm like those two things simultaneously would be happening when you're tapping.
Yes. It's like
Brilliant.
magical. I know.
It's magical.
And when we have calls like that, it's like you also have the power of the group.
Yes.
And so you have a whole bunch of really amazing energy going on at the same time. You and I were talking about amazing energy before this interview, about how powerful it can be when you get energy together. Like we know there are studies that show that if thousands of people meditate at the same time, we can actually measure changes in large populations. And so there's a lot of power that happens when working together as a group.
It amplifies the power.
It really amplifies the power.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's show us a demonstration of.
Okay.
We'll take mine, which I think a lot of people can relate to. It's like, oh, I'm doing this EFT program or diet or whatever it may be for you, and I've gained weight. And now I feel like a loser because I've gained weight. And maybe because of my period. It may be because I'm stressed. I'm not sure what it is. Why am I gaining weight? Why am I getting weight? Ah! That's what's happening in my head. Amygdala! Firing! Bear chasing me.
Yeah, exactly. And before we do that, I just want to mention with the one client that I talked about with Mary, who had a little blip in her weight. The cool thing, though, this didn't happen until about probably 12 or 13 months into her program. And so she actually came into her appointment and said, okay, Karen, this is what's going on. Actually, her mother and her brother passed away in the same week, so it was a lot. There was a lot, and so she said, "I just want you to know, I didn't beat myself up. I didn't call myself a failure and a loser. I did experience some more cravings, so I did some tapping, and I knew that I would come and talk to you, and we would work on any deeper issues." So her whole demeanor had shifted. The way that she handled a little blip and some really big emotional trauma was so different than she would have ever done that before. So you asked earlier about how do people keep the weight off. That's a really important part of how it happens. You have these skills now. You don't beat yourself up anymore. You know that some tapping will help. You reach out and say, I would like some help with this. I need to do some tapping on this, instead of, oh my God, you're the biggest loser and the failure, bag it, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Forget it. I'm throwing this whole thing away. Yeah. It's like,
Yes.
it's
So
so,
she's living proof of how that becomes like a brain pattern for you.
yes.
And you can make those permanent changes. And her weight has stayed off for like 18 months now.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
what's so interesting from hearing conversations with Dawson and yourself, it's a lifestyle change. You know, they always talk about, oh, the diet is not just a diet, it's a lifestyle change. But in this case, it's a lifestyle. Like, you're going to be tapping anytime you feel emotions as a way to clear your brain. And right? Is that how, in practice, what your life is like?
Actually, I'm nearly convinced now that you can't make those other lifestyle changes like nutrition and exercise unless the mind part comes first. I've been a dietitian for a zillion years and a personal trainer, and so I have all these years of experience of trying to give people the best information and help them do the right thing, and it doesn't work for a lot of people until they get the mind body part first. So that almost like that comes first, and then you have the skills necessary to bring the nutrition and the exercise together.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're healing the discursive thoughts and retraining your brain to think in a different way, and as a result of that, you lose the weight. It's okay.
So we're going to tap in 1 second. Another perfect example is me. There was a graduation party this weekend, and in the past, I would have been standing at the food table.
Yes.
Eating the tortilla chips and the potato chips, anything salty and crunchy. That was kind of my go-to at a party.
Yes.
And I was in charge of this party. There were 3 families, 40 people, tons and tons of food. And I looked at the chips and the tortilla chips on the table, and I looked at them and I thought, why, isn't this interesting? I don't want them.
Wow.
What's wrong with you, Karen? and so, like, I ate one. I thought, well, you know, and so I ate one, and it didn't have the same appeal.
Wow.
And so I went through an entire party and a weekend of me doing all of the work and stressing, and I wasn't stressed, and I didn't turn to food to make it be all better.
Yes, I love that. I think you've said a couple of different times in the video, food is just food. It's nutrition. It's not like, I want this salty, kind of crunchy feeling because it has this mild, pleasurable feeling. It's just like, food is food. There's corn in there, corn, salt, oil. If you need it, eat it. Otherwise, pass.
But we do have a huge emotional connection to food. So you can say food is food, but unless we heal that connection, they'll be like, yeah, whatever, give me my chocolate.
Okay. Yeah. Help me, Karen!
All right, let's do it. Okay. So just so everybody is familiar with the tapping points, we are going to start here on the side of the hand, and this is called the karate chop point. And so you'll say the problem and then say that you love and accept yourself anyway.
Okay. Even though I've been gaining weight. So mine would be, even though I'm gaining weight and I feel like an utter failure because I lost weight and now I'm gaining the weight back, I totally, completely love, honor, accept myself, or would you change that at all?
I would just narrow it down to what emotion are you feeling? Are you frustrated?
Oh, even though I feel like a failure.
No. Okay. And then we'll go into all of the other details as we're tapping through.
Yes, okay.
Okay. So starting on the karate chop.
Okay.
Even though I feel like such a failure.
Even though I feel like such an utter failure.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyways.
Even though on a scale of 0 to 10.
Even though on a scale of 0 to 10, I am at 10, meaning like the worst it could possibly be in terms of feeling like a failure.
Okay. I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyways.
Even though I really feel like a complete failure.
Even though I feel like an utter and complete failure. I'm really going into this because what I remember Dawson saying is like, really get drama queen about it.
Very drama queen, and always like you put your words in because those are your words and your thoughts. So keep doing that. That's perfect. Okay.
Even though I feel like an utter failure.
Right. And with all of this crap going on. I'm choosing to love and accept myself anyway.
I'm choosing to love and accept myself anyway.
Okay. All right. Now let's go to the top of the head.
Anywhere on the top of the head?
Well, it's right here. You come up from the ears. Let's go through the points, and then we'll start talking the next round. Okay? And then the inside corner of the eye, and you're going to use 2 or 3 fingers.
Inside corner.
And it's actually on the bony part of the eyebrow.
Okay.
Good. Yes, and you can use both hands You can use one hand, you can cross over, you can switch hands.
Okay.
It's a very forgiving process.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just use one hand and you can use both if you'd like.
Okay.
The next one is on the side of your eye, not all the way out to the temple, but again, just right around the eye.
Right here.
You're such a good model.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then under the eye, straight down from the pupil. Good. Under the nose. So we're using 2 or 3 fingers to tap. Generally, you tap about 10 times, but it actually is not important. You don't have to count 1, 2, 3. You just keep on tapping.
Okay.
Okay. And then we usually just move automatically the next time we start another sentence or a phrase.
Right.
Okay. Then on the chin, the little groove between your lip and your chin.
Right there.
You got it. And then the collarbone points, there's little bony parts.
I'll show on myself right here. Like
There
there's
you
just
go.
the bony points here on my neck, and then
And
right.
then just down and out to the side ever so slightly.
Yeah, I was always told 1 inch down and 1 inch down to the side.
Yes. Good. And then under the arm.
Okay, I was told it's like
4 inches down.
center of your breast line. Is that right?
Yep.
And then
For some women, where the bra strap is,
okay.
give or take. Okay.
Okay.
And then back to the side of the hand.
Okay, those are the points.
Those are the points.
Okay.
Now, you might see some other points out and about. That's fine. There are several different
Yes.
acupressure points on the body, but these are kind of like the top ones
Right.
that we use for EFT.
Okay.
All right. And the technique that we're going to use for you today is called the tell a story technique. Like
Okay.
you're going to tell me a story
Okay.
about how you feel like a failure.
Okay, good.
All right. So here we are. We've already established feeling like a failure. You're a level 10. Oh my gosh, such a failure. So now, the top of the head, and I'll start to guide you through the story, and then I'll
Okay.
have you jump in.
Yep.
I feel like such a failure.
I feel like such a failure.
Side of the eye. It's happening again.
It's happening again.
Under the eye. I don't want it to happen again.
I don't want it to happen again. I want this one to work. I like this program.
Under the nose. What the heck is going on?
What the heck is going on? Why can't I get it right? God. It's a great program. I'm just not getting it.
On the chin. I'm such a failure.
Oh, I'm such an utter failure.
Okay. On the collarbones. I really feel like a failure.
I really feel like a failure.
Under the arm. Once again, I feel like a failure.
Once again, I feel like I failed another diet program. Just can't get it right.
Okay. Side of the hand. Now, CJ, tune into your physical body. And is there any place you're noticing any discomfort at all?
I feel like a tightness in my throat.
Okay. All right. Top of the head. This tightness in my throat.
This tightness in my throat and a headache right here, a headache in my third eye.
Okay. This headache in my third eye.
Colossal headache in my third eye.
Side of the eye. This tightness in my throat.
Tightness in my throat.
Under the eye. This headache in my third eye.
Headache in my third eye.
Okay. Under the nose. And as you're tapping under the chin, is there any other event or time when you felt like this that is showing up for you? Maybe something from childhood where you may have felt like a failure or you weren't good enough. Under the arm. Some tension. Some feeling of not being able to accomplish something.
Yeah, okay. I can't, when it really matters, I can't seem to accomplish, I can't seem to finish things. Great
Okay.
start, but I can't seem to finish things.
Okay. And does that feel like is that a theme sometimes in your life?
No. Well, but it's an insecurity.
Oh, okay.
I'm compulsive about finishing things because I
Okay.
was told early on in my life, well, you need to finish things up because people who don't finish things up, they never succeed. So I'm compulsive about finishing things up.
Okay. All right. And how do you feel when you don't finish things up?
Like a failure.
Okay. All right. And if feeling like a failure and you're not finishing something up, if there was a food nearby that you would want to eat, what would it be right now?
Chocolate chip cookie.
Okay. All right. If it was sitting right next to you, would you go for it?
I think so. I've done a ton of tapping on chocolate chip cookies, so I don't
Ah,
know. It's a lot less than it would have been. Or something
okay.
crunchy like tortilla chips.
Okay. Salty, crunchy
Yeah.
stuff to help relieve maybe some of the stress and the
Yeah.
tension.
I carry
Okay.
a lot of tension in my jaw, so something crunchy, I think.
Okay. All right. So, so tap on this, these crunchy, salty foods,
Crunchy, salty foods.
this tension.
Tension.
I have to complete this.
I have to complete this.
I can't be a failure.
I can't be a failure.
I hate failing.
I hate failing.
This tension,
This tension.
this stress.
This stress.
Top of the head, this tightness in my throat.
This tightness in my throat.
This headache in my third eye.
This headache in my third eye.
These crunchy, salty foods.
These crunchy, salty foods.
I love these foods.
Oh, I love these crunchy, salty foods.
I love tortilla chips.
I love tortilla chips. Anything crunchy.
I love the taste.
I love the taste.
I love the texture.
I love the texture.
I love the salt.
I love the salt.
I might as well just lick the salt off.
I might as well just lick the salt off.
I love it.
I love it. Might as well just get married to it.
Right? I love everything about these crunchy, salty chips.
Oh, I love everything about these crunchy, salty chips.
But what I really love
But what I really love
is the way they make me feel.
is the way they make me feel.
So, CJ, when you eat those, just imagine that you're eating them, you're having the crunchy saltiness. How is that making you feel?
It taps to the emotions of fun and adventure, being on vacation in Mexico, and
Okay.
oh, so much fun and lighthearted vacation. Oh, I don't have to worry about anything.
Exactly. Okay. So just listen to like the shift in you, like, oh, it's fun and I don't have to worry and there's not any stress and I don't have to get everything done. Do you feel any pressure or just like the chips just take all of that away?
Yeah, the chips are a surrogate for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, even though I really love these chips,
Even though I really love these chips.
and they make me feel all better,
And they make me feel all better.
I wonder if that's what I'm really craving.
I'm wondering if that's what I'm really craving.
What I really like
What I really like
is the way those chips make me feel.
is really how those chips make me feel.
Right? They make me feel happy.
They make me feel happy. With fun and
And
adventure in my life.
Woohoo, it's a party.
It's a party!
Yeah,
I'm on vacation again.
right. And I can get away from all of this.
I can get away from all of this.
And I don't have to feel like a failure.
And I don't have to feel like a failure.
What I'm really craving
What I'm really craving
is relief
is relief.
from this feeling like a failure.
Is relief from feeling like a failure.
Right? Does that make some sense?
Yeah.
What I'm really craving is relief
Ultimately, what I'm really craving is relief.
from feeling like a failure.
Like feeling like a failure.
So I'm open
So I'm open
to finding other ways
to finding other ways
to have that feeling.
to have that feeling.
Maybe I'll do some tapping.
Maybe I'll do some tapping instead.
The chips are just chips.
The chips are just chips.
What I'm really craving
What I'm really craving
is relief
is relief
from these feelings of failure.
from these feelings of failure.
Okay, so let's pause for just a moment. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out.
Okay.
Now, sort of check in with your body and your throat and your third eye. And before you were like a 10 out of a 10 on that feeling of feeling like a failure. So have you noticed any shift in that number?
Yeah, I moved from a 10 down to a 4.
Oh,
And
good.
just and I'm actually for the since I'm playing two roles as a patient and participant, and I'm going to actually walk through what you did because I think it's really interesting. So what we did is we just to recap because we went through a lot of
Yes.
different places. What
Yes,
I
we did.
understand
We
us to
did
do.
actually more than we might normally in a few
Yeah,
minutes. So that's fine.
so the baseline problem was, gosh, this I'm failing this diet and it's happening all over again. And what we
Yes.
realized that I could actually feel the bodily sensation. So we tapped on the overall feeling, which was failure. Then we
Yes.
actually tuned into the body sensations, which I felt in my throat and my third eye. So then we tuned
Right.
into that and we tapped into that. And then we went into was it the memory or what did we do next?
The connection of the food and how that made you feel to
Yes.
relieve what was really going on was you wanted relief from that feeling of failure.
Right. So we tapped
It's the
into
tension and the stress that the chips were helping with.
okay, so we identified a food, my go-to food that
Right.
would be the thing that would relieve whatever my body was seeking. And what my body was really seeking is relief, through
Yes.
happiness or fun or adventure or to be on vacation. And so what we really found out was I'm failing on this diet. Really, what my essential emotional need is that I actually need to have some fun and adventure and relief
Yeah.
because I'm kind of stressed out. That's
Yes,
okay.
yeah. We actually, you're right. I'm glad you summarized that because we hit on 4 or 5 sort of like tabletops or
Yeah,
themes. Um, Sometimes we'll just tap on a craving. So we
right.
might spend some time
On
tapping
the
on
chips,
the
right?
chips, right? Sometimes we might just tap on the failure, and then we would tie that into what you mentioned briefly about as a child, what it meant
Right. You have
to
to
fail.
complete things, right?
Yes. Sometimes we would tap on what is it doing to the other parts of our body, to our throat chakra and to our third eye, and how is that blocking energy there? Maybe you need to speak your truth more and say, damn, I need some fun. I need to quit turning to tortilla chips for
Right.
fun. I need to, go party or go
Right.
on a vacation or do something like that. So we really hit a lot of different areas. We actually didn't tap on the very first problem that you said was that you felt like a failure on this particular diet,
Right.
but it was really tied to this bigger picture
Mm-hmm.
of feeling like a failure. So we actually did well. We needed to go back and find out where that came from. And we would probably want to do a little bit more work on that in the
Mm-hmm.
future. That
Right.
childhood issue, so much of our stuff comes from childhood.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
expectations, from the time 0 to 7, all of these thoughts are coming into our subconscious and really forming our memory bank.
Right.
And so every experience, a failure. Oh, okay, that goes back to age 5. Oh, that's what happened when I was 3. That's what my parents said here, or what they didn't say. And then throughout the years, we have all of that chaos going on, and it just becomes overwhelming. So it's like, screw it. Give me some chips. Give me some
Right.
popcorn. Let me have this. Then we become emotionally attached to that food.
Okay, so there's a whole bunch of ideas that I'm going to map this to what I
Yes.
understand is your 6-week program. So the
Yes.
first is just a physical craving. I like the
Yes.
salty, crunchy mouth texture, which you
Yes.
describe as a physical craving. Is that right? Tell us a little bit more about what that is.
It is a physical craving, but deep down, it's an emotional craving because we're trying to calm down the brain. But I don't want to say it's the easiest thing to tap on, but in a way it is. You could have like chocolate in front of you and you can tap on the chocolate, and usually that will bring the craving down from a 10 to maybe like a 3 or a 4.
Right.
And you'll be done with chocolate in that moment.
Right.
And oftentimes that makes the craving go away permanently.
Permanently.
Like I've worked with people on their Diet Coke or their Mountain Dew or their chocolate addiction, and one time and it's done. Now, if that isn't the case, then so let me step back. You can tap on each of those cravings. So
wait, and you have some
day,
chocolate in front of you, right?
I do.
So show us a little bit. And I know in the workshop in the oh good. So you have your chocolate. So you would hold the chocolate.
Messages on the inside.
Yeah. So you would open. You'd be like smelling it.
You'd open it up. You would hear the wrapper.
Oh yeah.
See it. You would smell it, and then you would read whatever the cute message was. Take a deep breath and exhale. I'd be like, no, forget it. I would just rather eat the chocolate.
Right.
And so then you tap on like the texture and the flavor and the aroma, the mouthfeel, the creaminess. And usually what happens is by the time you do 2 or 3 or 4 rounds, most of my clients are like, oh, well, here, you can have it. I don't want it. I'm done.
Interesting.
And even if it's just sitting right in front of them.
Right. Okay. So that's a physical, that's a craving. And when I actually have chocolate chip cookies, I had to tap on not once, but probably 6 different times because I had, and what I think Dawson talks about, which is so interesting, is that you may actually have lots of different multi-level associations with an item. So with chocolate chip cookies, I had an association of, I used to go babysitting and I loved chocolate, and the person used to have these famous Amos chocolate chip cookies. My mom used to bring those Chips Ahoy cookies.
Exactly.
When Mother's from Mrs. Fields opened, I remember being in New York City and smelling it and eating chocolate chip cookies. When my son's birthday, I had chocolate chip cookies. So I had like 6 different associations. Right. And in order to get, and I'm still not done, I think, with chocolate chip cookies, but I had to tap 6 different times. Yeah. And is that normal?
That is normal. So it's different for every person. That might be really normal for you, but yes, that's common. So what might happen is that for you, chocolate chip cookies were like the go-to food. Anytime there was something really happy, chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
For other people, it might be ice cream. Dad always took me to ice
cream. Or popcorn, right?
Ice cream, or for me, it was popcorn. Whatever the case may be. So you probably have a different memory with each of those. That's the emotional connection.
Right.
And so your brain's like, oh, you're happy? Go get a cookie.
Right.
You deserve this. You've worked hard. Go get a cookie. Oh, you've had a hard day. Oh, go get a cookie. So there may be all these little reasons, these emotional reasons why you want a cookie. So then you would just tap on those.
Right. So then you remove them. So if I tap on, because I tapped on chocolate chip cookies, I'm like, why do I still want a chocolate chip cookie? This must not be working. No, it's not that. It's just that you have yet another memory association with chocolate chip cookies. So you'll have like the full history of chocolate chip cookies in your life.
Right. Well, and you bring up a really good point, because sometimes people will just tap, they'll do a few rounds of tapping and say, well, that didn't work. Forget that. Yeah. You do want to have some patience and stay with the process. And that's where the group is so helpful. Yeah. Because each week we're going to practice this. Right. And you have lessons in between. So it's a little bit unfair to say, well, I tapped one time and that didn't work.
It didn't work.
Let us help you. Yeah. So tapping on cravings in the first week, we get through all of that. And then through the subsequent weeks, we really get into some deeper issues like self-esteem and childhood traumas and events, and how to do tapping like we did today. So actually teaching people how they can do tapping on their own, or hooking them up with resources. Yeah. So in the emotional eating, in this particular case, the emotional eating was, I had this childhood trauma, which was that my parents, said this one message, which they probably said very gently, but that I amplified into 100, decibels. Right. So it was like, if you want to finish things off, if you want to be successful, in life. And so I translated that, if you don't finish things off, you're a failure. So that could be like a childhood trauma. Right. And then the emotional eating piece was me going, well, when I feel like a failure, I need to go grab for food, because that will give me, even though I'm feeling like a failure, I can have fun and adventure and be on vacation mode when I eat the chocolate chip cookie or the tortillas. That's what the emotional eating. I'm emotionally eating when I grab for that, because
that chip is a surrogate for fun and adventure.
It totally is. And part of it is maybe even a little rebel, like, screw you, I'm going to do this and have fun anyway. So, ha, I'm going to eat this. You can't stop me. Don't tell me what to do.
Right. That the whole underdog, there were a couple of
Yeah.
instances that in the thing, it's like, my
Yeah.
mom said I could never have chocolate, so I'm going to eat it all the time now,
Right. Yeah. I'm having it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all the way in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you find that like you were talking about the example of when you would normally love tortilla chips or chips on the chip. Now you're kind of, you look at it and you're like, no, thanks. Does it take the joy of eating out of the equation for you, even though?
No, it actually added to the joy because
Interesting.
when I eat something, I'm so mindful of it, and
Mhm.
like there's actual pleasure from it for
Yes.
the nutrients, the colors, even the flavors and the textures.
Mm.
Like I'm eating it because it's food, and I put some time preparing it, and it tastes good. But then I can be halfway through a meal, and it's like, wow, I am so satisfied because I'm really in that experience.
Okay.
I'm not just mindlessly shoveling it in or eating it in the car or sitting in front of the TV.
Right.
Like you miss out on the experience when you do that, but it's almost like you're blocking out any connection. Like you don't want to be a part of this experience.
Yeah.
It's just numbing your brain, and there should be a little bit of real joy in nourishing our bodies.
Yeah. So I have a quick question. Do we have enough time
Yeah.
to do tapping
Yeah.
on the plate of food? Okay, I'd like to do that because I think
Yeah.
that that's completely related to this. Where, you know,
Yes.
we, especially with I found with friends of mine that have like large families, it's like a shoveling, like how quickly can I eat this
Yes.
food? And so as a result, we have a portion control issue. And also, you go to restaurants and they give you these gigantic portions, and this kind of clean the plate attitude makes you feel like eating everything when you don't really need to eat anything. So can you walk us through what Dawson has, this great program where you tap before dinner, you would mention,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
halfway through, and then a quarter, or tell us a little bit about that and walk us through a tapping program for that.
Sure. And the first thing I would say, though, you brought up like 3 or 4 major issues there. One, if there's a large family, there
Yeah.
actually could be some food insecurity. If I don't hurry up and eat,
Survival,
I'm not gonna eat
yeah.
enough. Yes. So there would be some tapping on just like there isn't going to be enough food
Yeah.
for me. But then really important, and Dawson mentions this too, do some tapping before the meals. It's like, okay, even though you actually don't even have to do it so formally, can be I choose to be calm, I choose to be balanced, I'm grateful for this food, I choose to enjoy this moment, I'm connecting with this experience. It is with gratitude that I have this food. I'm nourishing my body for its highest and best good. So even just watching your face, it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that would be a better way. And that took, 12 seconds?
Yeah, it's like a different kind of prayer before your meal.
It is almost, and some of my clients pray and they
Yeah.
incorporate this right along with their prayer.
Yeah.
Bless this food. Thank you for this food. God, universe, whatever the appropriate thing may be. So it's a very calming experience, and it also helps you to be much more mindful.
Right. So before you even eat, so first thing in the morning,
Yes.
before
Yes.
you eat,
Yes.
tap and do this kind of, it wasn't very long, like you said, it's a
No,
couple minutes.
that was brief. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to take longer and take less time and cost you less money to spend the 12 seconds that it took to tap than to buy like another freaking diet program, right? So invest in those 60 seconds for yourself for that,
Right.
you know. Yeah,
Okay.
you're worth it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so show us the plate of food and what you may do when you're eating.
Okay, so first of all, this is like real food.
Can you show it
see
up a
this?
little bit
Okay,
high?
here we go.
Perfect. Thank you,
Okay,
my
so
dear.
there's
Yes.
like some pork roast and some sweet potatoes and some broccoli.
Yum.
So yeah, it is good, and it's
Yeah.
good food. And so you might be tempted to say, well, that's just all healthy.
It's all healthy. I'll eat the whole thing.
I'll eat the whole thing, right? But honestly, if you look at this food, that's probably a fair amount of food.
Yeah, no, I would eat that easily.
Yeah, I know. But if you think about the size of your physical stomach is,
Yeah.
like this,
Yes.
that's a little bit, there's
Yeah.
a little bit more food.
Yes.
It's like, how would that fit in there?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. So what you might do is do that tapping before the meal.
Yes.
I choose to nourish my body with foods that serve me well. I'm grateful for this food. Thank you for this. I'm happy to be in this experience. And be calm before you eat. And then I would say eat about don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 bites of each, maybe a few bites of the meat and a few bites of the potato and then the broccoli. And then just pause for a moment. Just breathe. And then start on some tapping again. So on the side of your hand. Um, Even though I might like to eat the rest of this food.
Even though I really want to eat the rest of this food.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyways.
Even though I do want to eat the rest of this food.
Even though I really do want to eat the rest of this food.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyways.
Even though it's my normal habit.
Even though my habit is to eat this whole plate.
And clean this plate.
And clean it off.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyways.
Okay, so now you're going to honor what is really going on. I want the whole plate of food.
I want to eat that whole plate of food.
I really want it.
I really want to eat the whole thing.
I love food.
I love food.
Do you love food?
I do.
Yeah.
Don't make me suffer!
Okay, so there you go. Don't make me suffer.
Don't make me suffer. I have to eat the whole thing.
I don't want to be deprived.
I don't want to be deprived.
Okay, now I'm going to talk as we're tapping because deprivation is such a common theme and suffering. So it doesn't even really have that much to do with the food anymore.
Right.
So you might just say, I will not be deprived.
I will not be deprived.
I've already been deprived enough.
I've been deprived enough.
I am not going to suffer either.
I am not going to suffer.
You can't make me.
You can't make me.
I can do whatever I want.
I can do whatever I want.
And if I want to eat this food, I'm going to.
If I'm going to want to eat this food, I'm going to.
Okay, so let's pause for just a moment. Do you feel all these different themes that are coming up?
Yes.
Okay, so this is where tapping is so, so helpful. It will give you insight as to what's really going on.
Yes.
Maybe there's been too much deprivation in your life. Maybe
Right.
childhood sucked and you're like, screw it, I am not going to be deprived anymore. Maybe you don't want to be punished. You've been on way too many diets and you're like, no, I'm not doing that. Maybe there's a food insecurity. I have to eat it or I'm going to die because everybody ate all the food before me and I'll never get my share.
Right.
Maybe you were always made to share and you don't want to share.
Right.
Maybe there was a big, huge trauma and food has always protected you and kept you safe, and so has your weight. If I stay large enough, then people will leave me alone and nobody will want to have sex with me.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of reasons that might show up. So we deviated just a little bit, but by tapping, we found out deprivation, suffering, and those are all really good things that we want to continue to tap on.
Yes.
So if that comes up in the middle of the meal, that may not be the most opportune time, to keep on tapping. So what you might do is, all of these emotions.
All of these emotions.
Lots of emotions.
Lots of emotions.
I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful
to be aware.
To be aware.
Of what's really going on.
What's really going on.
And now, almost like you're telling your mind and your body, I promise I'll pay attention to this.
I promise. I'm going to go back and tap later, body.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
yes, exactly.
I honor you.
Thank you. I honor you, and this is important.
I honor you, and this is important.
For now, I'm choosing to be calm and balanced.
For now, I'm choosing to be calm and balanced.
And be mindful.
And be mindful.
Of what I'm eating.
Of what I'm eating.
I might eat a little too much.
I might eat a little too much.
I might not.
I may not.
But I'm choosing to love and accept myself anyway.
All right, I'm choosing to, and this is the underdog over dog. It's like top dog, underdog. It's like,
yep.
I'm a choice.
Yep. And I promise I'll take care of you.
And I promise I'll take care of you.
Because you're worth it.
Because you're worth it. Yeah.
Okay.
So then I would do, instead of like, whoa, I just had a big whoop ass, like emotional outline. Write down those things, tap later on those. But then you may find yourself like, oh, I don't have to finish more than 3 bites.
It's already like, you might feel more calm. You're like, okay, all right, that's fine. I am more calm. Maybe I'll just have one or two more bites. You promise you're going to take care of me later? Okay, thank you. You're being kind to me. Not, oh, you big freaking loser, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you just keep on shoving it in. What the hell's
Right.
the matter with you? Why are you eating more?
Right.
And then all that stuff comes up. It's like, no, I'm okay. We're going to work on this.
Right. Got it. Interesting. All right. Do we have time for one more question that I have?
Yes.
Okay. So the other question I have is about weighing yourself, because
Yes.
it's something that Dawson recommends of the 3 different habits. One was eating every single 7 days in the same way versus I binge on the weekend. On the weekdays, I'm good, right? But eat consistently throughout that day. And then also the other one was about if you have to choose between nutrition and exercise, do both, but it's really what you eat that's going to affect your weight loss.
It's really what you eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the one I have problems with is the weighing in every day, because in my own, when I actually had a nutritionist myself, my weight is all over the place every single day.
Right.
And then I think, okay, I ate that chocolate chip cookie yesterday. Is it really going to show up on the scale the next day?
So many things contribute to our weight.
Yeah.
Menstrual cycles, the cookie, the salt and the popcorn, the phase of the moon,
Right.
where the planets are aligned. I mean, it's just stress levels.
Yeah.
So I think that weighing regularly is a good idea if you're mindful of what's going on and you use that information appropriately. So if it's going to totally mess you up psychologically, then you need to have a plan for that. And I have clients that actually will weigh as they're on the scale.
You mean tap out there on their scale?
I'm sorry, tapping. Okay. So if getting on the scale is a serious issue for you and it does mess with you, then I would suggest we need to do some work on that first.
Right.
Before you get onto the scale on a daily basis.
Right. But
So
but you would
weigh
recommend
safely.
you would recommend still doing it daily, even if it's it messes you up. Don't do the tapping for the stuff that messes you up versus not getting on the scale. What's the benefit of getting on there? If there's so many factors, then what's the benefit? Because I think that the likelihood of you attributing something bad happening to the 0.2. I actually keep on getting 0.2 every day.
So just listening to you, it's like, okay, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. That's like, oh, seriously, 0.2?
Right.
We could go, are you kidding me? I'm getting upset over 0.2. Right? I mean, to be honest, we could say that. So here's the deal.
Yes.
Being accountable is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
So part of when they do studies on people who lose weight and keep it off, the accountability factor is big. So having someone that you check in with, even if it's yourself, and getting on the scale, that's the number one reason for getting on the scale to weigh. So the accountability part. But in my opinion, so much of weight is emotional that if you use the scale as your emotion meter, so you might get on the scale and say, okay, wow, I'm a big fat loser, or not.
Right.
Or you might say, gosh, okay, I'm going to be kind to myself. I wonder what needs some attention. What is stressing me out? Why am I obsessed about this? What is going on? Then it becomes very useful from that emotional standpoint.
Yeah, I actually did that one. So I was like, you're getting super freaked out about this weight gain. What is going on? And I came up with I'm gaining weight because I'm a little bit scared of what will happen when I lose the weight. I won't be safe, which is one of the things that you mentioned, right? It's very common.
See? So very good. So that came up for you. And that would be a deeper thing that we would want to spend some time on.
Yeah. This is so fantastic. So tell us about, you have a new program coming up.
Yes.
Tell us about that program.
The program starts in a couple of weeks. There'll be an informational call next Thursday, actually. If you go to EFT for weight loss, and it's EFT numeral 4, like number 4, weightloss.com, then, and you click there, you'll get information, an informational video, and then information about when the program starts. It'll start the week after that, which is 7, 14, 21 on the 21st.
Okay.
6 weeks program. As soon as you sign up for it, you'll have access to the materials, and we have a private Facebook page for support. You'll be getting more information from me. You can ask me questions, so you can engage in it right away. And then we'll get rolling with the 6 weeks of live classes, all of the extra bonuses that come with it, online videos, audios. We have a year of continued support with our monthly support group. So it's just fabulous.
Okay, so every week, the commitment on my end, if I were to join the program, is that I need to call on the phone for an hour to hour and a half. Is that right?
Yes, but if you can't make the calls, they're all recorded.
Okay,
So
got it.
if for some reason you have to miss one or you're late, it will show up on the website within a day or two, and then you'll be able to catch up.
Yeah, and what I really like also about the program is if I have like, I had a whole bunch of individualized problems that come up, I can actually
Yes.
request to actually have a tapping that the whole group can benefit from.
Right. And I call on people in the class. You can email me and say, hey, can we tap on this or this? And then we try to accommodate as many as we can, and we'll do some tapping live together.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. So tell us the website again. How much is the program, or do you have the prices set yet?
I don't have all the prices set yet. And Dawson offers some good bonuses and discounts as well.
Okay.
So EFT4,
Mm-hmm.
numeral 4, weightloss.com.
Okay, got it. And if I go there, by
Yes.
the time I go there, the pricing will be figured out. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes, it will. So, yay, I'm so excited. I hope if you have any questions, go there and then we'll be able to make contact with
Yes.
you. And you can also email me at Karen at EFTuniverse.com, and I'll try to address your questions that way too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. What a fabulous program. It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. Would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.